And something happened, didn't it, Crash?
A massive hug, wasn't it? It was just, I'm not sure whether it was theatrical.
Welcome to the Code Cricket Show, brought to you by Edgel. We are standing in front of the Gabba nets. The Englishmen are going through their paces. I think Ben Stokes is batting behind me. Harry Brooks certainly was a couple of moments ago. Crash Craddock, the scene is set, but the captain's not, because Ben Stokes will walk out to the middle. We know that tomorrow, wearing his blazer, but we don't know which Australian is going to join him. What a bizarre set of circumstances.
Incredible, Ben, really. I've never seen anything like it with Pat Cummins not named in the squad, but Australia has the chance to call him up tomorrow out of nowhere. We understand there's been a substantial push for that to happen, but we also understand the decision will be Pat Cummins, which confirms his status as one of the most powerful Australian captains we've ever had. He makes his own calls for this, and whatever he decides tomorrow morning over breakfast will be the call.
The timeline of this has been bizarre. I mean, we know obviously, and our colleague Ben Horn has been all over this story pretty much from day one about his injury and how initially it was unlikely that he was going to play in Perth, and he was eventually ruled out. And then Brisbane was sort of touch and go, and then they were talking him up, but then he wasn't named in the squad, but then he was bowling with a pink ball and he was batting against the pink ball, and they're sort of leaving the door ajar. And then you're just asking Steve Smith directly, like, can Pat Cummins still play? And he was certainly doing nothing to shoot it down, in my view, when he spoke today. It's funny, you had Steve Smith speaking at the captain's press conference, and he mightn't even be the captain.
Yeah.
Crash, if it does happen, if Pat Cummins does play, who do you expect it will be at the expense of? And what do you expect the Aussie attack will look like?
Well, I think it'd probably replace Brendan Doggett in an attack where Mitchell Starc will probably become the greatest left-arm fast bowler in the history of the game. I mean, that's a big stat. He's two behind Wasim Akram, and in a similar number of tests. It's extraordinary. I do think Nathan Lyon will play. I know there's been question marks over his inclusiveness in the team, but I think he'll play, yeah.
We know there has already been one. Well, it wasn't actually confirmed by Steve Smith at his press conference. He was quite cagey. Funnily, Steve Smith can tend to be quite cagey. He was the same in Sri Lanka, actually, when he filled in. He was very reluctant to confirm teams until match day. Wants to cross the T's and dot the I's. But we are expecting Josh Inglis will play for Australia. No great shock. I mean, we did this video last night. He was fielding in third slip. That was a pretty strong indication. We got confirmation from behind the scenes earlier today that is going to happen. He'll bat in the middle order, whether it be 5 or 6 around Cameron Green, given Travis Head is up the order. What are you expecting from Josh Inglis, Crash?
Well, his story is very enchanting, really. Raised in Leeds, if you don't mind. And I've looked a story today where even when he was 17 years old, he was eligible to play for Australia, but still supporting England. So his heart and his head sort of went in different directions. Good choice. He's proactive. He'll really keep the game moving. I'm still not sure what to make of him as a batsman. I'm not sure what his pedigree is. How good is he? I know he's got a lot of shots. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's interesting. His first-class numbers don't absolutely jump off the page. He hasn't batted much up the order. His last couple of years, his opportunities to play red ball cricket, or in this case pink ball cricket, have been somewhat few and far between because he's entrenched himself as such a regular, in Australian test squads, but also in the white ball formats, where he's been exceptional, particularly in T20 cricket. He does have that array of shots. I love his ability to sort of, go 360, play behind the wicket, do the ramps, the scoops, and the like. Remember, he absolutely tore up England at the Champions Trophy at the start of the year in what was an exceptional run chase from Australia. And yeah, you're right. He had that conversation with Justin Langer back when he joined Western Australia to debate whether, I think JL sort of set him straight. Do you want to play for Australia, son? And here we are. He's about to play an Ashes Test. Do you feel it all for Bo Webster, who it appears is going to miss out with Inglis getting the nod ahead of him?
I do. His numbers say he's worthy of more tests. There was a lovely moment in the nets here about 2 hours ago when Bo Webster was batting and George Bailey, the selection chairman, came out of nowhere and gave him a big hug. And I thought, what? He's in? No, it's just that they'd had some good news about the Tasmanian AFL bid. You know what I mean? So that was a nice moment. But he will rise again, Webster. But I've got to say, there's no guarantees because while Cameron Green exists in this team, Webb still stay on the sidelines.
Yeah, I mean, they've effectively now shown their hand that Bo Webster, I mean, look, you never know, things can change, but as it stands, Bo Webster is really only there as cover for Cameron Green. You know, he's not there as the sixth best batter in the side, otherwise he'd be playing this test. He's not there as a extra bowling option. I mean, he obviously does provide that, but he's not really considered a frontline bowler, otherwise he might be in the mix there. You know, he's really only there if Green is unavailable, or at least unavailable to bowl as he was, and they coincided earlier this year. Now, you touched on hugs, Crash, and I feel like we're about to have a moment here, because there was a noteworthy hug in the middle of the ground when Australian selection chair George Bailey, who touched on there, the coach Andrew McDonald, Steve Smith and Pat Cummins were out in the middle of the ground having a look at the pitch. This was around when we knew the Aussies were going to have their last look at the wicket before they sort of settled on their team. And something happened, didn't it, Crash?
A massive hug, wasn't it? It was just, I'm not sure whether it was theatrical, whether they were playing up to the cameras.
McDonald and Cummins, that was.
Because they knew the cameras were on them. But what was funny, about a minute later, Cummins got his hat like this and went, even more theatrically, threw it down as if say, so you leave me out of the team, mate. Like, I got to say this, he has got a good sense of humour, Cummins. He's quite funny.
Now, Crash will actually be on Broadway shortly with some of his prop comicry there. Comicry, I'm not sure if that's a word. Outstanding work, Crash. We laugh a bit about this sort of stuff, and we're standing in front of the England nets, but let's be serious for a moment about the stakes here for England. They're huge, I mean, to say the least. Talk us through, in your words, what it means for England this test.
Look, Bazball is at the crossroads. There's no doubt. Yes, the numbers are good. You know, they've improved from where they were before it. But after 3 or 4 years, it's time for them to take it to a new level. If they get wiped out in this series, it is a disaster for them. And my single biggest concern is this. There's 3 elements to a day-night test. Afternoon, evening, where we are now, that's dusk, and darkness. A batsman like Marnus Labuschagn's got a great pink ball record by adapting. Can England do it? I'm not sure that they can. They can be subtle enough to go, oh, it's rain at in time.
No, exactly, Crash. Also, just very, very quickly also, we're here, it's Brisbane. We know there's no test match here next summer. What does it mean, this test for Brisbane, for the Brisbane public, just for the future of test cricket here? We know all that's happened with the stadium, the Olympics, the uncertainty. How important are the next few days for cricket in Brisbane going forward? Well,
Brisbane are campaigning for a couple more first tests before this stadium gets knocked down in 2032. The last ball of the gold medal match here at the Olympics will be the last cricket at this stadium after about 100 years. So it is big, but I've got to say this. The Gabba gets what the Gabba deserves. It is the number 5 test venue in the country. It is not better than any of the others. The government dithered when Cricket Australia were organising. Unfortunately, and it pains my heart to say it as a Queenslander, but Queenslanders got what Queenslanders deserved, and they've got to suck it up.
In fact, the Gabba, it was a very, very eventful day at the Gabba. We shouldn't forget, because we were evacuated from the Gabba. In fact, we were standing on the grass bank about 20 minutes from where we are earlier, because there was, thankfully, a false alarm just before England were about to start training. But no, very well said, Crash. Anyway, who knows who's going to captain tomorrow? What I know, though, is that Crash Craddock will be here covering this test match. I will be too. Look, can't wait, and looking forward to bringing it all to you.